Today I'm unboxing the brand new TMNT Last Ronin Ghost Brothers 3-pack from NECA, but before we check out the figures themselves, we gotta check out this box. I don't think they showed this off when they did the original pre-orders for this pack, but when I see a great box like this, it definitely makes a big purchase easier to swallow. And if you aren't that impressed by the original image, just give it a little twist and oh yeah, the lenticular cover gives us a bonus image of the three Ghost Brothers. The effect is really well done. We get the ghost versions of Leo, Donnie, and Raph looking over Mikey on the rooftop. Super good. They didn't forget about the spine artwork either, although I don't think this one goes to any sort of mural. But if you flip it over to the other side, you do get that standard Last Ronin spine, and it says number 23 Ghost Brothers. Some great photography on the back, making them look extra clear. And if you want to take a peek at the figures without opening the box, you can definitely do that as well with this window flap. There aren't a ton of accessories in this one, so you can pretty much see everything it has to offer. But of course, we're going to open it up, pull it out, we get the main tray with the figures, and then there's a second tray of hands underneath. Each of the three figures comes with 3 sets of alternate hands. You get a gripping hand, a set of the loose grabbing hands, and then a high 3 open palm set. Other than the hands, you pretty much just get the basic weapons for the figures, and that's it for accessories. We'll take a more detailed look at each figure, but here's just a quick overview. You can start to see some of the differences, but a lot of the parts are reused. The ghosts pretty much always look the same in the comics, so I think that's perfectly fine. But NECA did add enough little subtle differences to make each figure unique. For the individual figures, let's take a look at Raphael first. He probably has the fewest additions with his more minimal belt, but he does have more leg wraps and a little bit different knee pads. You can start to get a better look at that jelly texture that the figure has. And it's kind of hard to tell on screen, but the shell is a little bit translucent as well. Not as much as the arms and legs, but you can see through just about everything. The only solid piece seems to be this plastron. I was surprised to see that even the bandanas are translucent. It kind of gives it a nice eerie effect. Same thing for the bandages on his forearms and elbows, and then down on his feet as well. In the pre-order images, it definitely seemed like just the skin was going to be translucent, but I'm liking what I'm seeing with this. If you're curious about the articulation, we'll take a look at that after we look at all three brothers individually, so stay tuned for that. This one does have weapon storage. It's on the front of the belt this time. It's very subtle, and they just slide in easily right there on the front. I want to see just how different these are compared to the original Last Ronin versions. Here are the two Raphaels. You can see the new one's a little bit taller. It looks a little bit beefier in the muscles, definitely a bigger shell on the back. Honestly, probably the legs and the shell are the biggest differences, other than all the armor. Bringing them in for a closer look at the face, the original Raphael actually has a wider head. It makes the new one look a little bit small, but it's not really something I notice unless the figures are right next to each other. I was kind of surprised to see they went with a new design for the size as well. The new version kind of has a wider grip. It has the red tape instead of the brown, and overall I think it's just a little bit shorter. I think the original weapons were just a little bit too long for the figure, so I definitely think they took advantage of the opportunity to make some improvements. While we have Raphael here, I'll show off some other comparisons. Here he is next to the original NECA Last Ronin figure. They are pretty close in height and build, but the new one is just a little bit smaller still. We do have the bigger, chunkier legs and bigger shell on the back, or I guess the original didn't even have a shell, so that's definitely a big difference. But I think they look good next to each other. And then here's the newer version, the battle damaged Last Ronin. I definitely think they were going for more of this kind of style when they were doing the Ghost Brothers. Some of the pieces look very similar, but it's just scaled down a little bit. You can definitely see it in the back shell there. So it makes me wonder if they're going to go ahead and do a fully armored version of this Last Ronin as well. Again, you'll see the articulation in a little bit after we see all three figures, but that's it for Raphael. Let's move on to Donatello. Again, a lot of the basic figure details are going to be the same on all three of these brothers, but there are some differences with Donatello here. You can see he's got the bow storage on the back, the extra strap on the belt. Of course, the goggles up on top that I forgot to check if they were removable. It's probably a good thing because I don't want to lose them. He has more of a smirk on his face instead of the scowl of the other two, and then his knee pads are a slightly different design too. I remember this back knot being a really tight fit on the original Last Ronin. It works pretty well here on Donatello. The bow is a little stumpy, but the details are nice. He looks good holding it in just one hand, and it is long enough for him to get it in both fists at once. Comparing him to that original Donatello figure, these two look a little bit more similar than the Raphaels did. Maybe it's the extra clothing, but the original Donatello does just look a little bit more bulky. The head sizes and expression are a lot more similar on these two as well. Now, unfortunately, I can't do a real fair comparison on the weapons, because when I was taking the original out of Donnie's hands, it just snapped like a twig. I swear I just barely touched the top and the whole top section just fell off. But you can see they definitely took the opportunity to make some changes. The new one is a lot thicker, it's a little bit shorter. I wonder if maybe my bow wasn't the only one that got broken. All in all, I think if the new one was like a 1/4 inch longer, it would be perfect. That's it for Donatello. We've got one more new figure, of course, that's going to be Leonardo. I did notice that something just kept looking a little bit off from Leo, but I didn't realize exactly what it was till I brought it in close. And yep, you probably noticed it before me, he's missing that back bandana piece. But thankfully, after scouring the room and the floor, I was able to find it. So I guess these pieces are removable on all three figures as well. Although that shouldn't come as a surprise, they've been doing that for years. But just so you know, be careful when you're taking yours out of the package, or it might end up on the floor like mine did. There we go, much better. Honestly, when it's there, it makes a huge difference. I don't know how I missed it. Alright, taking a closer look at Leo, you can see he has a little bit different belt as well. He's got the single strap. His biggest addition is the holders for his katanas on the back. And overall, he seems to just have a little bit less as far as leg and foot wrappings go. Again, different knee pads. You can put his swords in the back, but be careful, this front one was a little bit harder to use than the other. The blades on these are always so thin, just be careful. The other one slid in with ease, so maybe once I work it in a few times, it'll be better. There goes that bandana again. Here's the comparison with the original Last Ronin Leonardo figure. This one is the one I think I noticed the biggest difference between. Something about that original Leo just makes it seem smaller. I don't know if it's that giant scarf piece, but honestly, looking at it here, it doesn't seem too dramatic. But the lower half for sure, looking super small. Taking a closer look at the heads, not that you could swap them out or anything, because one of them's translucent, but you can see the differences there. And shock of all shocks, there goes that bandana piece once again. I'm going to say it's probably user error, but again, don't lose it. The katanas are probably the most similar between all three versions. You could probably even swap them out if you wanted to. Here's a quick look at all three brothers with their weapons in tow. Again, you can see the bodies share a lot of similarities, but there are a few little differences. The legs are different, the knee pads, the back shell belt is the same unless it needs a strap for the weapons. Overall, you can tell they're part of the same family without looking super identical. Next, I'll go ahead and show off some of the basic articulation. I'm not going to try to do any fancy poses or anything like that, but they can honestly look down pretty far. They can't really look up at all. I think my top shoulder piece might be a little bit twisted, but they can go out pretty much straight. They seem to move easily, no need to heat them up. You can turn it 360 degrees at the bicep, both move easily. And then the arms do have a big double elbow. None of the pads are actually part of the mold, so you can kind of pose them to cover up that joint if you want to. But it's not too noticeable with the translucent skin. The more I look at these legs, the more I notice just how big and chunky they are, but they have a big double knee as well. You can get them out pretty much to a splits. I did have a leg pop off a couple times, but no big deal. Lots of range at the ankle, both forward and back. You can see it overall kind of floppy sometimes. I wouldn't say it's loose by any means. I'm definitely not scared of it falling over. It can definitely do everything I would want it to do. Last thing I want to try today is see what it looks like with some photo lights and the lights turned off. I don't know any real techniques, I'm just kind of making guesses, but you can see there are definitely some cool possibilities with this if you have a more established setup and some knowledge. The front shell kind of makes it limiting. I don't know why they chose to do just that piece as a solid color, but I think it's only really noticeable if you have a light shining directly from the back. I tried with a blue light as well to see if I could get anything different, kind of going for that Spirit of Splinter vibe. I think this one came across a lot better on camera from the back. Definitely some fun possibilities there. Then here it is shining from the front. You get a little bit more reflection off that front plate. It doesn't really look as clear in this respect, but it does take the light well. Overall, I really like this pack. I was kind of hesitant to pre-order it back in December. I decided to just go for it out of impatience, and even though it was hard to wait the extra month or so for Leatherhead, I'm glad to get these before they hit the shelves. I think they compare nicely to both versions of the Last Ronin that we've gotten, but if they're going to lean into this newer style, it makes me wonder if we're going to get a fully armored version of that battle-damaged Ronin. Thanks for checking out the review. Let me know what you think of this figure. Did you pre-order them? Are you going to wait for the store release? Thanks again for checking out the video. Please drop a comment, a like, and a follow, and we'll see you next time.